can't believe I'm actually about to say these 5 words. I can't believe it. I actually cannot believe it. So starting round 15, we have the Titans at home against the Tigers. And starting with the Titans, they currently sit in 13th place in the ladder. Their form is 2 wins in the last 5, and their home record is 3 wins and 2 losses. They also lost last time out against the Rabbitohs. In terms of availability, Kieran Foran and AJ Brimson will still be missing due to injury. But in terms of percentage stats, they have a 42% win rate, 77% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 86.5%. Moving on to the Tigers, they currently sit in 16th place on the ladder. Their form is 3 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 1 win and 4 losses. They also lost narrowly last time out against the Raiders. In terms of availability, Staines and Dewey are the only names on the injury list currently. But in terms of percentage stats, they have a 25% win rate, 78% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 89.3%. So there are some games where I've backed the Titans and they haven't delivered for me. And when I've gone against them, they've won. It's a little bit all over the place at the moment, and especially there have been big games for the Tigers that I've gone against them, like the Penrith game. I went heavily against them, and they somehow won. It's all over the place with these two teams. Now, I would say the Titans, missing Foran and Brimson, they're huge players, and they're going to have to play Jaden Campbell in the halves again, most likely. To be fair to them, against the Rabbitohs, they put up a really, really strong number of points. I kind of get the feeling that they are capable of that, but that kind of effort against the Rabbitohs is going to take the wind out of them. And there's something about the Tigers at the minute. There's an air to them. There's a bit of control. There's a bit of flair. They're just a much stronger team at this point. So, you know, a few weeks ago, if you told me that the Titans put up a solid number of points against the Rabbitohs, given how they were doing, and the Tigers lost to the Raiders, I would have said, right, this is easily in favour of the Titans. But looking at the squads that are available and how the Tigers have been, I can't believe I'm actually about to say these 5 words. I can't believe it. I actually cannot believe it. It's just a gut feeling. Tigers to win 13 plus. Next up, we have the Raiders at home against the Warriors, and starting with the Raiders, they currently sit in 6th place on the ladder. Their form is 4 wins in the last 5, and their home record is 4 wins and 2 losses. They also won last time out against the Tigers. In terms of availability, Croker and Chris should return this week. Croker was rested, and Chris comes back from an injury or concussion, I think. Whitehead and Anderson are also questionable for this week. They're either going to be back between rounds 15 to 17. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 62% win rate, 78% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87.7%. Moving on to the Warriors, they currently sit in 7th place on the ladder. Their form is 2 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 3 wins and 3 losses. They also won last time out against the Dolphins. In terms of availability, Walker, Lussick, and Vilea are all expected to return this week. But in terms of percentage stats, they have a 54% win rate, 80% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 88.5%. If you look at the results between these two teams in the last sort of 5 games, the games that the Raiders have won have all been 1 to 12 points. And the games that the Warriors have lost, for the most part, have been 1 to 12 points. And the ones that they've won, they've run away with or been very strong. And the ones that the Raiders have lost have gone away from them. Seagulls was the one big one there. So I'd say kind of balancing it all out, I think it's sort of primed for a close game. But I do think on paper, given the home form and the form overall and position and squad availability, all kind of leans in favour of the Raiders. I am inclined to take a Raiders win here. But given that all of the games, or the vast majority of games in the last 5 have been pretty damn close for both of these teams, I think following that consistency, I think it's fair enough to say that I think the Raiders are going to win this one 1 to 12 points. Next up, we have the Seagulls against the Dolphins, and starting with the Seagulls, they currently sit in 10th place. Their form is 1 win in the last 5, and their home record is 3 wins and 3 losses. They were also on a bye last week. In terms of availability, Fulton and Aloye are expected back. There'll be no Tom or Jake Trebojevic, and Kelma Tuolangi is also out. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 42% win rate, 77% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87.2%. Moving on to the Dolphins, they currently sit in 8th place on the ladder. Their form is 2 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 3 wins and 3 losses, and they also lost last time out against the Warriors. In terms of availability, Brenko Lee and Gilbert plus Marshall King are all to be confirmed, so we'll wait and see how they are for this round. Bostock and Tabuai Fidau are back this week, but Milford will be out until round 19. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 54% win rate, 80% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87.6%. I was not expecting the scoreline to be what it was for the Dolphins and the Warriors last week. Not in the slightest. I thought the Dolphins had enough depth and enough quality to cover it. It wasn't even close. I think this week they could be primed for a big turnaround. I think they'll be fine. Seagulls missing Tom Trbojevic is massive, and Jake Trbojevic is also huge. Tuolangi is a big player for them as well. Alaye is a very experienced player, but isn't going to have like a huge impact in this game. But to be able to bring in Tabuai Fidau for the Dolphins, that is massive. That is absolutely huge for their team. If Marshall King is in the squad, that is also unbelievably huge. He's been incredibly underrated this season, I think, but he's a key component to this Dolphins team. I get the impression that this could be a little bit back and forth. I think players like Cherry Evans are going to do well at controlling the game, but not having that extra sting, that extra firepower from Tom Trbojevic is going to be a big miss. You've still got players like Garrick, who are incredible finisher on the left wing. Quick players like Kula and Saab could do some damage down the right-hand side, but usually they need the team linking up well in order to get them involved. There aren't too many instances where they kind of create it themselves. But certainly if there are some links up with Cherry Evans and Schuster to the right-hand side, they could certainly find a way through. So I do think the Seagulls will put up some good points, but I think the Dolphins will be primed for a strong win here. I think it could be within 1 to 12 points, but more on the higher end of the win gap here. So I think I'll take the Dolphins to win 1 to 12 points. Next up, we have the Dragons at home against the Rabbitohs, and starting with the Dragons, they're currently in 17th place. Their form is only 1 win in the last 5, and their home record is 3 wins and 2 losses. They also lost last time out against the Panthers. In terms of availability, Laurie and Bird are expected back this week, but there'll be no Jack DeBellin. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 23% win rate, 76% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87%. Moving on to the Rabbitohs, they currently sit in 3rd place on the ladder. Their form is 3 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 6 wins and 2 losses. They also won last time out against the Titans. In terms of availability, Murray and Mitchell are both to be confirmed, so we will see if they're in the squad this week, but Moale is expected to be back. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 64% win rate, 76% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 88.8%. I did mention about the Titans putting up good numbers against the Rabbitohs. And that is something that I have recognised the last couple of weeks. That the Rabbitohs, even though they've won a couple of games in the last 5, the last few weeks they have been conceding fairly high numbers, which makes me sort of lean towards the Dragons being able to put up decent numbers themselves, nothing crazy, but conceding more points to the Dragons than they otherwise should do on paper. I think if Mitchell is missing, it's going to be a huge miss. He's the highest points providing fullback in the league. If you take the tries and assists, that isn't even including conversions. Tries and assists, Mitchell is the highest points providing fullback in the league. So he'd be a huge miss. Like Tom Trbojevic with the Seagulls, it takes a lot of sting out of their attack. So hopefully he's back for them. I do feel that because the Rabbitohs are a little bit vulnerable, it doesn't give me much confidence in going for the 13 plus. Normally on paper I would do, but there was also a game last year, I do think it was last year, that some of you might remember. It was the Dragons at home against the Rabbitohs. The Dragons ran away with the game in the first half. Like, they were demolishing the Rabbitohs by half time. Every possession they looked like scoring. Rabbitohs couldn't do anything. I can't remember what the score was at half time or at full time, but some of you might remember it was just chaos. Lachlan Ilias was even dropped mid-game, like he was benched. He was brought back later on when they were trying to chase the game, but his performance was so bad, he was benched, and some of you might remember that game. But I'm getting flashbacks to that, and I'm thinking that kind of feel might be involved in this game. just only in periods, not the full game. And the fact that the Rabbitohs have conceded hefty points in recent weeks makes me think that 1-12 is a fair enough margin. If they've got Mitchell in this game, it could easily be 13 plus and they run away with it. They could score 50, 60 points if they wanted to. But I get the feeling that the Dragons will just find ways to score. The Rabbitohs will find ways to concede, as they have been doing the last couple of weeks. But I do think the higher end of the 1-12 is likely. So I'm going to go with the Rabbitohs to win 1-12 points. Next up, we have the Broncos against the Knights, and starting with the Broncos, they currently sit in second place. Their form is 3 wins in the last 5, and their home record is 3 wins and 3 losses. They also won last time out against the Sharks. Selwyn Cobbo is the only player on the injury list. Currently, he is to be confirmed, so we will see if he's available for the squad this week. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 71% win rate, 77% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87.6%. Moving on to the Knights, they currently sit in 11th place. Their form is 2 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 1 win and 4 losses. They're also on a bye last week. Hunt is the only player to be confirmed, and Fitzgibbon is expected to be back this week. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 42% win rate, 75% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 89%. I was starting to get a little bit worried for the Broncos in that, they'd lost some big games against the Rabbitohs, the Panthers, Melbourne Storm, that if this is a common thing where they can't get it done against the best teams, or they're going through this kind of slump, then maybe there's time to worry. Like, they'll beat teams that they should beat, but if they can't compete against the best, it's not going to be worth it later on in the season. But they came out with a huge win, not gap-wise, but it was a big win against the Sharks. And they'll essentially have their full team available. Selwyn Cobbo might still feature, and even if he doesn't, they'll be able to replace him. It won't be the same, but they could still replace him, and the rest of the squad is still going to be extremely strong. The Knights in 11th place. They've had their ups and downs this season. In terms of the squad, Ponga might look to have a big game to try and force his way into the Origin team. But I just don't think they're going to have enough here. Their away record, 1 win and 4 losses, is awful. I don't think there's too much else to say on this one. The Broncos are just a significantly stronger team. So, without wasting any more time, I'm just going to take the Broncos to win 13 plus. Next up, we have the Roosters against the Panthers, and starting with the Roosters, they're currently in 9th place. Their form is 2 wins in the last 5, and their home record is actually 5 wins and 1 loss. They also won last time out against the Bulldogs. In terms of availability, Daniel Tupou is expected back, but there'll be no Sam Walker, no Brandon Smith, or no Victor Radley. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 50% win rate, 74% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 88.3%. Moving on to the Panthers, they currently sit in first place in the ladder. Their form is 4 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 4 wins and 2 losses. They also won last time out against the Dragons. The only player missing this week is Nathan Cleary due to a hamstring injury, and he'll be out for a couple of weeks. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 67% win rate, 82% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 88.7%. Some people would normally think that with Nathan Cleary missing, this is a great opportunity to go at them and pull out a win here. For the Roosters, not going to happen. I will confidently say that the Roosters, of all teams, are not going to get this done. I'm pretty sure they're the worst attacking team in the league. Possibly. Panthers are the best defensive team in the league. So I think the Roosters, first of all, will struggle to put up points. That'll be one issue. They'll struggle to score. There's no Sam Walker. There's no Brandon Smith. There's no Victor Radley. They're huge misses to your team that's already struggling. Nathan Cleary missing is huge for the Panthers, but they'll put Cogger or Salmon in that position, and I'm sure they'll be fine. I see a big game from Jerome Luai. He's going to, I think, be able to dart through the line a couple times. Dylan Edwards is likely to score 1 or 2 tries this week. That's just what he does on a regular basis. So I think the Panthers are just going to be too strong. Roosters are not good enough defensively, and they don't know how to score enough points. Defensively, the Panthers are miles ahead of anybody else. Yes, they've played less games than some, but the Sharks are the next best defensive team in terms of ratio, as they've played the same number of games. They're miles ahead of the Sharks. I see this being a fairly big win. I think I've been a little bit safe with the numbers that I've given the Panthers on this one, but I'm confidently going to say Panthers to win 13 plus. But the amount that I've given the Panthers could end up being well under what the Roosters allow. Next up, we have Melbourne Storm at home against the Sharks. And starting with Storm, they currently sit in 5th place. Their form is 3 wins in the last 5, and their home record is 4 wins and 2 losses. They also lost last time out against the Cowboys. Justin Olam is to be confirmed, so we'll see if he's in the squad this week. But Alec McDonald is expected to be back and available. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 58% win rate, 80% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87.5%. Moving on to the Sharks, they currently sit in 4th place in the ladder. Their form is also 3 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 4 wins and 1 loss. Also lost last time out against the Broncos. In terms of squad availability, they should be near enough a full squad, but in terms of who's on the injury list, they have, I don't know if it's McKines or McInnes, I'm not sure which one that is. Rudolph and Dykes, they're the only players on the injury list. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 58% win rate, 75% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 88.4%. So, I was a little bit back and forth on this one. There are 3 things that make me lean towards the Sharks. Just 3. One is the away record to home record. Melbourne Storm's 4-2, Sharks are 4-1. So obviously that's less games, but in terms of the ratio, it's a better away record than Storm's home record. That's one. It's only a small thing. In terms of the losses last week, the Sharks losing to the Broncos was not even nearly as bad as Storm losing to the Cowboys. And 3, in terms of points for and against, the Sharks have more points for and less points conceded. They're the 3 things that make me lean towards the Sharks. However, I have this recurring image in my head of Cameron Munster being involved in every single point or every single try that Storm gets. I think there's going to be 4 tries for Sharks, 4 tries for Melbourne Storm. Munster will be involved in all 4 tries for Melbourne Storm, and it'll just be a kick that does it. That's all I'm thinking, is that Nico Hines will just be perfect with the boot and get 4 out of 4. That's all I'm picturing. But it's a big day for Cameron Munster. I don't know what it is. It's so difficult to separate these teams. It's just unfortunately on this one, it's just a gut feeling. That's all I can tell you. It's a gut feeling. So I think this is going to be an exceptionally close game. If Storm wins, I wouldn't be surprised. But it's just a gut feeling. So I'm going to go with the Sharks to win 1-12 points. Finally, for round 15, we have the Bulldogs against the Eels, and starting with the Bulldogs, they sit in 15th place. Their form is 2 wins in the last 5, and their home record is 3 wins and 4 losses. They also lost last time out against the Roosters. In terms of availability, Marnie and Kiraz are both to be confirmed, so we'll see if they're available. Hughes and Faitala Mariner are both expected to be back and available for the squad. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 38% win rate, 76% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87.1%. Moving on to the Eels, they currently sit in 12th place on the ladder. Their form is 3 wins in the last 5, and their away record is 2 wins and 4 losses. They're also on a bye last week. Andrew Davey is expected to be back, but there'll be no Matteson, Campbell Graham or Lane available for the Eels. In terms of percentage stats, they have a 46% win rate, 75% completion rate, and a tackle efficiency of 87.2%. I would say, on paper, Eels have a stronger team. They've been the better team this season. You would expect them to come away with the win here, and that's the way I'm sort of leaning towards at the moment. I still think the Bulldogs have decent players in their team. As I mentioned last week, they have players like Josh Adokar. If he gets a bit of space, he's gone. Jake Avarillo is rapid. If he gets a bit of space, he's gone. Matt Burton's kicks, I feel, will be an issue. Clint Gutherson, I think, is an underrated fullback, but he does have errors in his game. So I think that Matt Burton will be able to get a couple knock-ons from Clint Gutherson from his bombs into the air. So I feel like that's going to be kind of the main gimmick for the Bulldogs, and I think they'll get a good field position because of that and be able to put up good numbers with consistent pressure. I feel that's one area as a plus for the Bulldogs. But I do also feel that the Eels are really talented, really skillful, pacey on both sides with Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses. I think they'll just be too strong overall, be able to come with a win. I do feel that it could be a little bit back and forth, try for try. Eventually, the Eels will come out on top. So I do think, all things considered, the Eels are the better team, but the Bulldogs can still put in a fairly strong performance. So I'm going to take the Eels to win 1-12 points. So to recap my predictions for round 15, I'm going to take the Tigers 13+, Raiders 1-12, Dolphins 1-12, and the Rabbitohs 1-12. I'll take the Broncos 13+, the Panthers 13+, and then the Sharks and the Eels both 1 to 12. So that's going to be it for this video. If you have any predictions for round 15 of the NRL, let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to check out some recent content, you can click this video link here and it'll take you to the latest video. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.